Welcome back to the fair, everybody.
This darn tin building, I tell you.
Well, it's that.
Grand champion Market Goat goes to Avery Fitzer. Reserve Avery Fitzer. Third, Caden Meyer. Fourth, Brady Daufeldt. Fifth, Addison Daufeldt. We will now start on our junior breeding does, class 200-1, lightweight junior breeding does, 3 entries.
So we're getting into the breeding does right now. First class. We have 2 of, looks like might have a scratch. Under 12 months. Because I only see 2 out there. And there's 3 on the program here, so. Yeah, there's just the 2 out there.
So remember, folks, while we're waiting here, we'll run through the grandstand entertainment this week for you. Tonight, you got the stock car races.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow night, donkey races.
Donkey races.
Friday night is the ECIPA tractor pull.
Tractor pull.
Saturday night is
Tracy Lawrence.
Tracy Lawrence with Drew Baldridge. And Sunday, my favorite.
The demo.
The
and
demo derby at
trailer
11, and at 3 o'clock,
trailer races.
the trailer races, which that is, folks,
it's crazy.
you've just got to come see it. Like,
Yep.
there's nothing else. Just come see.
Yeah, definitely.
Look up trailer race on YouTube, and then imagine being, 75 feet from it.
Yep.
It's awesome.
It's a blast. Here we are. I think, yeah. Yep. So 318, that would be Hannah Kelting takes first in this class, and then
Okay, starting off with our doe class here. The one that leads it here, goats will be goats. That's definitely, I hinted at it earlier at the weather drive, but goats will be goats, and that's not lost on me here. But we're going to start with her. I like her pieces and parts. She is a little bit of a smaller package than I would normally prefer. However, the parts that she does bring forward are attractive to me. When we think of her from a feminine standpoint, I love her across her shoulder blades as she rolls into her chest, or excuse me, her rib cage, hitting into her loin, rolling into her pins, and her lower leg. Would love to see her broken open in a couple more of those key spots. But overall, for a package of her size, she is really pretty fulfilling. As we jump into the doe here in second, a little bit more on the greener side. I think a little bit more fresh in terms of her quality. We would love to see her with maybe another 2-3 weeks age on her. As we take a close look at her here, a little more narrow in the rib cage than I would prefer, a little bit more slight on the lower leg, but overall, for the pieces and parts that she offers, a quality animal. Thank you both.
that'll take care of class 1 of the breeding goats. And these are more to reproduction-wise instead of market-wise, kind of similar to the dairy goat.
Champion lightweight doe goes to Hannah Kelting. Reserve Sage Collier. Next in the ring, we have medium weight junior breeding does with 5 goats.
Yeah, 5 goats. We'll have Grady Clausen, Laney Winger,
Wingirder.
Wingerder, Addison Harland, Nicole Buster, and Madeline Thede. How long does this take you to tear down and set back up?
45.
So here we are in our first class of medium junior breeding does, ranging from 69 to 75 pounds. Clausen family will have goats, sheep, pigs, and cattle. I mean, they do it all. Highly competitively as well.
Well, the wind's actually picking up a little bit.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
absolutely gorgeous out here, folks.
Yes.
If you've been like sitting inside the last week because it's been just crap. Outside,
Yep.
like soup, get out, come
Yep.
out to the fair.
Yes.
Stop. There's, oh my God, lemonade, funnel cakes, gyros. Toby and I had gyros for lunch. They're
Yep.
delicious.
Yep.
God, what all? There's shaved ice. There's ice cream. There's
Rides for the kids.
I was kidding. Yeah, rides for the kids.
You know.
There's probably 15, 20 vendors throughout. There's
Yep.
barbecue. There's the couple lemonade places, like real lemonade.
Right.
Like
Church stand always has really good food.
Rotary should have Yachty's ice cream.
Yep.
Or,
Yep. They have the bars. They have the Kelowna bars as well.
yeah, that's
Yep.
what I meant.
Kelowna
Yeah.
bars.
Those
Yep.
things are good.
Those things are awesome. I've tried to get them in at the Muscatine stuff, but that's another.
Well, sometimes Muscatine, we take a little longer to catch up with what everybody out in the county's doing that's good, you know?
Yep. But yeah, like you said, I mean, it doesn't get much better than this for middle of July.
No.
You know,
Oh,
I
dear
mean,
God, no.
I mean,
Bunch of smiling faces. Everybody's super nice and
Yep.
welcoming. I'll tell you this, folks. Like, yeah, just come out. You don't have to know anything about fairs. You don't have to know
Nope.
anything about animals. Just come and enjoy them. Like, you're going to get to watch people up close and personal doing something they absolutely enjoy. And it's just a great, positive environment to be a part of.
yes, it is. You know, it's they have as much passion in this as your average basketball player or football player.
That's
or
that's actually a great comparison to
I mean, it's they just have that much passion in what they do, and it's just crazy to see. Like, I mean, it's a little bit different now because these animals weigh 69 to 75 pounds. That's a big dog, but I mean a very big dog
or several small ones.
Yeah, and it's like and these animals are just kind of walking around doing them what they tell them to do, and it's just shows the hard work that they put in to getting them ready. I mean, and it'll even be bigger, when you get to the bigger animals like the cattle, to see a 1,200-pound steer walking around, following you around and doing whatever, I mean, that's a testament to how hard they work.
And I think another great correlation is like show choir, band.
Right.
And what I love about all of these, whether it's sports,
Right.
which is, kind of where my family falls usually.
Right.
The fair, the ag stuff, you look at parents and kids together.
Yep.
You look at families, regardless of how their family's structured. You
Right.
know, like whether there's, whatever it is, it's not all nuclear families anymore.
Right.
One
But
of
they're
our
all
larger
here for the
classes of the
kids.
day,
They're
and
all
one
doing the thing
definitely
together.
not lacking
Exactly.
in quality. We start with the doe up front here. When you first look at her, there's definitely more than the meets the eye. When we get over top of her here, she does have some more capacity here than what she would show as she's entering in the arena and as she's on the move. Speaking of her being on the move, I love her on the move. I love the way that she glides. She holds all of her pieces together well. and she's able to accent some of her more finer qualities about her. So we work at her from her rib cage. We look at the capacity that she carries, and she ties in really nicely into her loin edge and a broken open pin, which is great, and a solid lower leg to go with it too. Where I'd like to change her is I'd like to give her just a little bit more extension. I'd like to give her a little bit more length of body, but overall a very solid animal. The one that comes in second here, again, not to take away from its quality as well, it is a very complete looking goat for sure. Where I'd like to see it bettered a little bit is definitely on the move. It seems like we're having a little bit of difficulties on the walk today. Very large up across the top, solid in the lower leg. Would love to see maybe just a little bit more oomph there, but a solid, clean front, quality animal overall. Rolling into our one in third, when we get our hands on her, she is explosive. Where she starts to fall apart to me is the package as a whole. Very solid parts there. But that's where it kind of the buck stops, is that we have some very good parts. I'd love to see it wrapped together with a little bit nicer bow, and that's where she falls just a little bit short today. But good in the lower leg, good on the handle when it hits the rib cage. Would just need it to be linked together a little bit more. The young ladies here in fourth definitely has the size to fit the bill for today. As we get the handle on her, though, she comes across a little bit more plain. She has some of the capacity features that I'm looking for. Where she falls short a little bit is in that lower leg department, and she gets a little bit more tight in the pins than I would prefer, but a quality doe nonetheless. And the young ladies here in fifth, I think just as similar to some of the other weathers that I've talked about, is just needs a little bit more time. A little bit more time in the bunk, a little bit more time exercising, whether it's walking, treadmilling, whatever, but will be a very cool doe here 30 days time.
Do they treadmill these guys?
Yeah, yes and no. If
First
you,
place,
normally
Grady
what
Clausen.
a lot of
Second,
them will do
Madeline Thede.
is
Third, Cole Buster.
just let them out and
Fourth,
run. Kind of run
Addison
them. Just let them out
Heartland.
in an open area and let them go.
Fifth, Laney.
And they run and run and run and run
Wingerton.
and play and be
Wingerton.
Be
like
a
a dog.
goat?
Be like a dog and then just run. They just want to play too. And
Next
and,
up is Class 2 medium
it's no
weight
different.
breeding does with
And,
5 injuries.
But if that doesn't work for you, then they'll throw them on a treadmill and give them the exercise that they need. It's no different than if a person gets a little bit overweight. Ideally they want to. A doctor will tell you you need to lose some weight, so you get on a treadmill or you go walk or you go exercise or whatever.
Oh, is that what you're supposed to do when you get told that?
Well, I'm there.
It's not so much a thing.
I'm there, so maybe they tell me that and I just don't listen. Or you don't have time for it or whatever, But that's just kind of what they do. If you get a little over-conditioned on these animals,
Following
they'll
this
throw them on a
class,
treadmill.
we will need
It's not like
Clausen
it's a fast thing. It's just a
and
Oh,
Madeline
yeah,
Thede
no,
back
It's just-
for champion medium weight breeding doe.
Uh-oh.
Ruh-roh. We've got a streaker.
He just
Oh,
grabbed
dude.
that.
He is a legit.
That was impressive.
Dude's got skills. I mean, not that I wouldn't think he would,
Right.
but
He just grabbed a hold and said, "Looky here."
hey, you're not going anywhere. You're just not.
Wow, Clausen's got another one in here. Jiminy crickets. So this will be Hadley Ray, Brady Blake, Xander Rudolph, Grady Clausen, and Melanie Fitzer.
So about 3:30, we're gonna stop the stream, break this down, and get over. So what it'll be. Actually, you could get that. Tripod that's up over there. It could go in segue. There is, just off camera here in between the two barns, there is a goat that has to weigh more than the kid pulling it. and he's making it work.
Yep.
My jeez.
It's crazy.
I don't think he was too thrilled with his little guy at that moment. But, the goat or the kid.
Yeah. Little guy. But it just, once again, it just shows the passion and that they have and how much work they put into these animals. So he's going, a lot of judges will pull him over first, second, third. He's going backwards. He's going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. $348. So who got pulled over already? Missed one. This is the Fair Queen is here. This is her last duties as the queen from the past season. She will be crowning a new one here at around, I'm going to say it'll probably be over around 6 o'clock-ish. Starts at 5 over there in the garden over there. And Grove, I guess is a better word to say, over in the Grove. Garden, I'm thinking something else. But, yeah, so that'll be over there at 5 o'clock, and we'll try to be over there.
I want to commend the young man here in second. We just had a little interaction. He apologized to the young lady ahead of him there and said, "I apologize, I wasn't paying attention. I was showing my goat." I said, honestly, out of all the excuses to have, that's probably one of the best ones for today. All right, start off this class. What a doe. She hits you like a truck. One of my mentors uses a phrase, and I don't use it lightly, a freak on a leash. She is explosive across her top. She ties in incredibly well into her loin. Very solid in her lower leg. Really good on the bone. Glides across the arena. One I really look forward to seeing again very soon. The one is second, not to take anything away from. Definitely just hit an unfortunate set of circumstances here because I like the package that she puts together. I'm a little bit more of the type that's going to hit you with, I want them to be a little bit more athletic. I want them to be a little bit more heavy emphasis on that feminine side, where she just lacks in terms of the one in first is just that dimension. Very solid parts as she ties in through. I love her shoulder. I love her rib shape. Her loin is solid. Her lower leg just lacks the power and the size in comparison to the one in first. The young lady's here in third, also in a similar boat. She gets a little tighter in her shoulders for me than I'd like, and her rib cage is a little bit more tucked in. But overall, a very solid animal, especially as we hit that loin edge, rolling into her pins, that lower leg. Really pretty good on her feet. Needs something to really kind of tie it all together well. The young man said he comes here in fourth is a solid animal as well. I think we want to give it a little bit more time. We want to give it a little bit more energy. Is definitely hitting on that little bit more leaner side for me. I would love to get her on some groceries, get her on a little bit more of a high energy feed. Let's fill her out a little bit. Let's let some of those pieces and parts that she has shine, and let's really watch her go. The one in fifth here is a unique one the longer that you study her, because as you really pay attention to her, she is really pretty clean in her front. She's smooth as she's coming across her entirety. It's just she's a little bit young. She's a little bit more, I would say, awkward in terms of her parts, tying them all together. But overall, a solid animal and one that will be wonderful for someone's breeding stock. Great class.
So now we will be selecting a...
First place, Melanie Fitzer. Second, Grady Clausen. Third, Hadley Ray. Fourth, Xander Rudolph. Fifth, Brady Blake.
Hey, there's a quick
Melanie
shout
Fitzer,
out
Grady
to the Hewitt family.
Clausen back from that class. And Grady Clausen and
Still can't figure out how in the heck you get
from
Hewitt from their last name, but
medium
we're
weight
not going to
class.
say anything.
It's all good.
Thought you guys might enjoy a little view of what's going around here at the fair. It never ceases to amaze me the sheer number of people that are here. And this is just one of like 1,700 things going on right now.
Yep. They had a really good crowd up at the kiddie tractor pull.
I wish they got to quit scheduling that at the same time as other stuff that we got to broadcast.
Right. Yeah. It was a good turnout up there when I walked by earlier. That's a pretty big thing here in the town that hit, really well. And definitely it's good for the kids, to get them to the fair. And then after they're done with that, then they can hopefully work their way through the barns and kind of go from there. Now, like I said, we're picking the champion and reserve champion and third place overall medium weight breeding doe. We might get done.
Yeah, so folks, we're going to cut out from this about 3:30 or so that we can tear down from here at the Daufeldt Small Show Ring and fly on up to the Grove for the Queen contest. And the only reason that we can make this all happen.
Plenty competition here as I look at this division. I've been told I need to pick 3, and there are for sure 3 that jump out at me here in terms of quality and what they bring to the table. As I kind of take a look at them here, I'm hoping that, at least from where I'm standing, you can see it too, a little bit of a pattern emerging in terms of kind of some of the ones that find their way here towards the top. You're going to see them as a little bit longer in terms of their overall build. They've got some power to offer and some pretty quality things that I would love to see invested back in my own doe flock to be able to produce some really high quality wethers, almost call them rams, my apologies, the sheep part of me kicked in, more of the buck side of things, really being able to produce some high quality stock and being able to be able to service them in a really pretty plain way. So no, there are definitely 3 that jump out at me here, not to take away from any of them out here at all. Very high quality ones that will do well for these exhibitors past the county fair here, and honestly I hope they do, whether they come back as a yearling or they continue on the show circuit. But I'll come out and get your 3.
Yeah, that's a pretty good goat. For what you want, that's about as good as you're going to find. I mean, in the goat division, that one's pretty stout. And there's your top 3. And then I believe both entries are by Clausen for reserve. So Fitzer and Clausen, I believe.
Okay, results for medium weight champion is Melanie Fitzer. Reserve, Grady Clausen. Third, Grady Clausen. Next, entering the ring is class 200-4, heavyweight breeding does with 5 entries.
Okay, what were you going to say there, Hoss?
Well, the only reason that we can pull off doing all these different shows that happen across this huge fairground in like no time in between is thanks to our friends Jimmy Greenhaw and all the rest of the crew at Next Gen Motors. They've got a Segway crew UT something or other awesome side-by-side for us that we can literally load all our gear, all our people, and go and just like fly to the next spot. And so again, big shout out to them. They've been huge fair sponsors. They've got the mental health walk in the fall. Just great community folks over there at Next Gen, and we truly appreciate not having to carry our gear everywhere. So Jimmy, thank you very much. And
yes,
I see him at the Y fairly often in the mornings, and I think he realized that I probably couldn't have handled it.
Yeah, probably right. That'd have been some stress.
Yeah. Or I would have just said, I'm going to use my truck and honk at people to get out of the way.
Get out of the way. That might not work the best, but
no, probably not. Maybe I could get one of those fake like lights, like the police lights.
There you go. Be a volunteer fireman here in one of the smaller towns, and you get those lights.
Ooh.
My son has a pair of those lights on his truck.
That's not a bad idea.
Be a volunteer fireman, and
Everybody always says, I think I can go anywhere I want anyway, which I don't.
Right.
But I do, it's weird. When you do broadcasts like this often, you do kind of get used to the fact that, like, you go behind stage.
right.
You go off stage at almost everywhere you go. And so, it just sort of happens. But that
Right.
would be like the all-access off-stage
There you
pass.
go. There you go. Yep. But you can get in a lot of trouble if you don't use it when you're on a fire call.
Well, and I'll say this. I know some of the Wilton fire folks. They've been to my house before. They are tremendous folks, really understanding and solid folks. Really appreciate it. Especially when they get called several times for a whole lot of nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It happens a lot.
Like, why are we here again? I don't know. Don't ask me.
Another pretty big class. 5 in a class is pretty good, really.
Now, these look smaller than the last ones?
These are
No.
actually bigger.
Actually, no, they are bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. This would be pound weightage wise from 86 to 87 pounds. So,
Dude, the one in the middle is ready to go take off and go throw some paws with somebody with hooves.
well, and you got the pig whisperer on her. So,
The what?
the pig whisperer, that's Lynn's. Good kid from West Liberty. Kind of, I'm gonna say this. Reminds me a lot of me when I was her age. She is into pigs like I was into cattle.
And what's her name?
Lynn's. It's what she does. She will work her butt off. Reminds me of my cousin Addison. Works really hard.
Was she in a show last year?
Addison won the heifer show.
Yeah,
there,
Mm-hmm. That was the first ever Discover Muscatine County Fair hookup on a show.
Yep.
And
And that was Addie. She's going to be going to, I believe, Kansas State, I believe. She kind of changes back and forth and all about judging. So she'll be like a little weeby, but a big weeby. She's bigger than Ashley is, so taller. So who was she showing for? Because I didn't know she had goats. 325. I don't see a 325. Do you see a 325? I don't see a 325.
I see 325 right there in front of
To
us.
be completely honest, I am impressed with the depth of quality that hits me here in this class. And to be completely honest with you, if you look at the set that I have up here up front and you switch them, I don't know if I would entirely disagree with you. However, a decision's got to be made today, and the one that I went with here, I went with this leading doe here. Very powered up, very pretty in her side. Where both of these does, I would say, lack just a little bit is I would love to see them just a little bit on the longer side. Even if that was just an additional rib in length, I think it would do wonder for these does. But as we take a look at her, she's very clean fronted, and she's very big and across her rack. You hit her loin really pretty well, and she ties in between that loin and pin set solid, which is where she edges out over our doe in second. Strong lower leg, strong on the bone. Overall, a very nice doe. We come to this one in second, and like I said, I'm flowering it with compliments, but a decision's got to be made here, and where she falls just a little bit shy is she's a little bit heavier chested. She's not as clean as the one that leads the class with. She does break right there at the end of her loin, rolling into her rear hips, hitting those pins. Big on the lower leg, a little softer to the touch today than I would kind of prefer, especially since the young man's bracing her. I don't know if the doe is just being difficult or what the circumstance is, but one I do definitely like to look at, and one that I look forward to seeing again here soon. The young lady's here in third. would definitely be very competitive. And a lot of these other classes we've had just kind of got tangled up in two really pretty stout ones. I like the looks of this doe. I like her length. I like her dimension. She ties her package in really pretty well. Where she falls a little short is she's not as expressive in some of those key areas like her loin and her lower leg. But overall, a very quality doe that I wouldn't be afraid to have in my own flock. The young ladies here in 4 is one that does hit you with just that sign of just needing a little bit more growth to her. Would like to have a little bit more lower leg. Would like to shore up her bone just a little bit more. She's a little heavier chested than I would normally prefer, but she's solid in her rack shape. She's good in that loin, very upstanding in that loin. But just some pieces and parts I'd like to polish up, but overall a great doe. This young lady's here in 5th is a doe that I would see definitely thriving in a commercial lot for sure. She's clean in the front. She's nice to look at. She hits you with some of that pretty qualities. Where she falls short some today is I think she's a little bit greener. I don't think she's quite to her capacity yet, and that's okay. That's a good thing for the county fair because maybe we're state fair bound, maybe we're exarban bound, that sort of thing. So maybe today we didn't get the results that we wanted, but hey, later down the road we're gonna have something we can really play with. It's a great class.
So Allison, the young lady I was talking about earlier, Linz, does actually have 2 goats here. She'll have one in this next class as well.
Alyssa Linz. 2nd, Brady Daufeldt. 3rd, Mercedes Brockert. 4th, Lainey Wingerter.
She's having trouble with it too.
Anna Heyman. Next up, 2nd class of heavyweight breeding does. 4 entries.
Yeah, we'll have Allison Linz, Jack Theobald, Addison Daufeldt, and Kaylin Hout. Is it? A little red goat out there. Interesting.
And for those of you astute viewers, yes, that is Ashley Weeby's head poking into the top of your screen.
Yep. Ashley. What is she doing?
Ooh. Little jumpy.
Yeah.
So how does that affect a judge's? So, I mean, obviously, he's just deciding to be a goat.
Right.
How does that affect a judge's thought process?
If we were
obviously.
in showmanship, it would be huge. But we're not in showmanship. We're just in class right now. As long as he can still get his hands on the goat, and the goat will somewhat, give him at least one look, that helps. But it's hard to evaluate an animal that doesn't want to cooperate. And I've been there. A lot of times this time of year, especially on the female side, like on the beef and down in the beef barn, you get a lot of heifers that are running through their cycle and they're ready to be bred, and they just don't, they just don't want to work with you, and they are a pain in the butt, and it's not fun.
Well, I have to imagine for them this is kind of an interesting life experience.
Yes. And you're used to being out in the mountains or whatever, or just out playing. And this is different. For cattle, you're used to being in a feedlot. For pigs, it's in a barn. In the finishing houses. It's different than what their normal life would be. So. Down to.
But they all, even when they get a little, let's call it persnickety.
Yeah.
They still don't seem upset
No.
overall. I mean, they're all pretty chill animals.
Yeah, it's when you get to the state fair, you do have your protesters here and there that think it's animal cruelty, but these animals are treated better than some humans.
Oh my God, these animals are treated. Oh my goodness.
It's
now again, I'm only seeing what's here, and I
Right.
know squat about this, but I know this. These goats over here, just to our right off stage, they're all getting brushed,
Yep.
They have like lifts that lift them up,
Yep.
and they get blown dry like a blowout at a hairstylist.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, no, they're
Their life is a lot better off than some humans.
well, and I would also go so far to say better than their life in the wild.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
Well, they're getting fed nutritionally the right things, and they're not having to scrounge for whatever bug. I mean, they can.
Right.
They're getting fed high protein feed and getting taken care of very well. So.
Okay, 2 does to lead the class here, very similar in type and kind. The more that I look at them, the more they kind of match each other beat for beat, which is makes my job both difficult and also entertaining at the same time. Really, we're going to start nitpicking these two down to really start getting some discernible differences. Both are similar in the length that they offer, both similar in the design of their lower leg. They roll off the pins very similar to one another. Where we start to see a little bit of differences, she comes at you just a little bit cleaner. She's a little cleaner in her chest and her display there. She's got a nice set of bone underneath her. She ties in her package overall really pretty well, and that's really going to be where some of those small details in comparison to the one in second are really going to start to shine through. I like her presentation here today. I like how clean she is up front. Her bone presentation is good. Overall, a very solid doe that I look forward to seeing again here very soon. Not to take away at all from the one in second. The one in second hit me really pretty well as first as we came in, obviously, since they're so similar to each other. The more that I just take a look at her there, she carries a little bit more in her chest. I've alluded to that. And her bone maybe just doesn't seem to sit underneath her as much anymore, or as well, excuse me. And some of her pieces and parts, as we look across her top line there, seem to be a little bit more broken up than I would like. I would like to see it maybe just tied in a little bit cleaner, a little bit more filled out. But nonetheless, a very solid doe, especially for the class here. As we hit the young man's here in third, now that we've kind of got her settled down a little bit, there's some parts that you really like about this doe. I like her length. I like her potential for capacity. She does carry a little heavier chest than I would prefer. She's got some solid lower leg to her there. I'd like to break her open a little bit as we roll off of that loin into her pins. Give her a little bit hardier shot of bone, but overall a solid doe. And then we roll into the young ladies here in fourth. She hits me with a little bit on the shyer side of lower leg. There she kind of falls off as it kind of rolls back in underneath itself. As we look at her front, though, we look at a strong shoulder. We look at a pretty forward presentation. Some good bone underneath her there. Her shoulder, as I've said, is nice and broke open. Would just love to change her on that last rib back and give her a little bit more dimension there. Great class.
Another good set of goats out there. It's getting, to me, it's going to be harder and harder to pick out a top 5 down the road. I mean, there's a lot of good quality animals here in the goat show.
First place, Alyssa Lenz. Second,
Lenz.
Addison Daufeldt. Third, Jack Theobald. Fourth, Kaylin. Next, we have our third class of heavyweight breeding does. 4 entries.
There'll be 4 entries in this class with Caitlin Thiede, Kaylin Hote, Madeline Thiede, and Caden Meyer. This class here might be the deepest one yet. Just knowing what's... Oh, hang on.
It's time to throw hooves.
The Thiede family is, this would be a, let's see, a 4th generation. Yeah, let me think. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this would be a 4th generation Thiede showing. 4-H and FFA.
The young goat over here on the right of your screen, folks, I think they should dress up as a donkey for the donkey races tomorrow night.
There you go.
Because that could be a donkey in a donkey race.
It's
that attitude.
That attitude would work just fine. And she's got a sash on. I'm wondering if that sash is messing with the goat a little bit. Maybe enough movement in it that it's messing with the goat. Right here. No.
At the conclusion of this class, we will need Alyssa Lenz and Brady Daufeldt from the first heavyweight class back. We will need Alyssa Lenz and Addison Daufeldt from the second heavyweight class back, and first and second from this class.
This is going to be really hard to separate these four because they're all pretty evenly stout animals, all very good profiles. It's going to come down to nitpicking again. Oh, little goat wants to lay down.
Man, I don't blame him. It's a nice summer day.
Yep. So let me chill. Look at, I'm just passing out right here on the ground.
Fading goat?
Yep. Feels good. Nice cool sawdust in there probably.
That's right about where one of them sprung a leak a little bit ago.
Ooh. Maybe you don't want to lay there. So, looks like Orr will take first, or Meyer will take first, and Thede second. And that is Caitlin.
Goats will be goats, and that's okay. All right, start off this class. Two very similar in their type and kind to lead off this class. A couple of differences. The more that you really start looking at them and really start picking them apart. The doe that leads our class here, she is a little more heavy chested than I'd like. I'm going to hit with that first. She's not necessarily as clean there. However, you cannot ignore the fact that the package that she offers from her shoulders back is very tied together. What she does offer, she is big in that rack. She's offer quite a bit of definition in that loin, good in her pins, solid as she rolls off, and then a good lower leg, some bone underneath it to support all of it. Pretty straight in her type and kind. One that I like to look at in terms of her overall quality, and where she edges out over that one in second is just that completeness in her package. Not to take away from our one here in second. Like I've alluded, she's a little bit more cleaner fronted than the one in first. She's got a very expressive lower leg to her here. Where that really just that small difference starts to kick in is that she has a little bit of a break there in her loin in comparison. She breaks a little there by her shoulder, but very powerful in her design and her type, and does hit you with some of that pretty, but in a very tight race, this is where kind of things land out. Not to take away from our one here in third, very similar, I would say, between the one here in second and the one there in third. Another one that is clean in her type, in her chest. Where she falls apart for me is she's good in that lack half, right? That rear saddle. Her front saddle just starts to fall apart a little bit more for me there, and maybe not just the most structurally correct here today. And then the young ladies here in fourth, I think, is starting to become a little over-conditioned. I think she's a little bit past that 12 o'clock mark. There's some good pieces and parts to her. She's going to do well in a commercial flock for sure, but I think just a little bit past show day today, and that's okay. So thank you. What a wonderful class.
First place, Caden Meyer. Second, Caden Thede. Third, Madeline Thede. Fourth, Kaylin Hewitt. Coming in the ring now is the champion heavyweight junior breeding doe division.
Yeah, we're getting ready here to pick the champion heavyweight, and we'll do a top 3 here as well. And with class winners from the first class of Allison Lenz, second class Allison Lenz, and the third class winner Caden Meyer. So they will line up in the front. Pretty good odds for Allison here, two to choose from. And just from his reasonings alone, I would lean towards that direction anyway, that one of those two will win the heavyweight division. And but a lot of times that last class one is fresh in his mind, and that's kind of sometimes where they go that route as well. Judge making his final decisions now, trying to decide which way to go. Leaning, and he's going to go ahead and give his reasons now. A lot of times I like to call it the last minute look that he gives right before he or she goes to give their reasons.
A very deep heavyweight division here. Let's give these exhibitors a round of applause. As I look out at our heavyweights here, I want to commend the exhibitors and the families that have been helping train these animals here for show day today. Especially as we start to encroach our way into that heavyweight category, there's always that looming fear of getting a touch-over condition, a little too soft, a little bit beyond kind of the hill. And I really can confidently say that's not the case for any of these does out here. In fact, they're holding their own really well, which I think is a testament to the industry as a whole. And it also creates a cool market for us to be able to say, hey, there are does out here that can have a little bit, they can carry a lot more mass, they can carry a lot more to the table, and that means a lot for a production standpoint, and it also means quite a bit too for us as exhibitors in terms of what we're able to do with them for the amount of time that we get to work with them here. I would venture a guess that a lot of these are probably going to itch their way more towards that January, very early January birth date, and that's a long ways to be able to feed out a goat and have it not blow past that 12 o'clock. So anyway, enough of that there. A quality set of does here, something that all these exhibitors should definitely be proud of. In terms of type and kind, I hope, again, you're seeing some similarities like kind of I am, but there is a couple that jump out to me here. I'll get you your 3.
Oh, wow. He did go with Caden Meyer with your champion heavyweight.
The race for reserve and third here gets a little bit tighter as we start looking at some of the packages that are put forward by some of these does. Again, I echoed this in some of the classes from earlier on. We're looking at some does that have a similar presentation here, and so now you start really focusing in on things that are what matter to you. What are some things, if I'm putting myself in that of a breeder's shoes, I'm going to bring these into my own herd. What do I want? What kind of kids do I want out of these girls? What kind of quality are they going to bring forward? And that's some of the things that are floating through my mind. Definitely quality animals here will get second and third.
That'll be Caitlin Thiede taking second, and third, Allison Lenz. in the heavyweight division. Now we're going to skip over to one class of, looks like bucks, and then one class of yearlings. Or no, one
Now
class
in the
of
ring, we have yearling
does.
breeding does, class 210, one entry. Results from the champion heavyweight breeding doe was Caden Meyer, reserve Madeline Thede, third place Alyssa Lenz. Yep.
So that'll do it for top.
At the conclusion of
three.
this class, we will need the champions and reserves from the last couple of classes.
So we'll get into right now the yearling breeding does, which is kind of like a cow calf, but she's been around for a year, so. Just one entry in this class. It's Caden Meyer. Oh, I'm sorry. And then after Caden gets done showing, we will pick a top 5 overall for breeding doe.
Yearling here who could definitely stand some competition. I like the idea of the yearling class. I always have, because the idea behind it is, at least into my mind, is that this is a girl that's gone in. She's been a part of the herd. She's been through a breeding program. You know, maybe we've been able to get a couple of doe kids out of her, right? Get a couple of kids, being able to maybe exhibit some of them here at the fair, and then as a testament, bring her back and highlight some of the quality that she brings forward. I like the look of her. She's very clean up front. She is big across her top, big in her pin set, good in her lower leg, stands on some really pretty good bone. Overall, really pretty complete package. Would love to see it tied in a little cleaner in her top line, but very level-headed, and the young man does a wonderful job displaying her. A great yearling. Look forward to seeing her here very soon.
So a lot of good comments on Caden's yearling. Now we'll get into picking the top 5 breeding doe, and then they'll have the bucks.
Winner was Caden
and then
Meyer.
they'll go into
We
showmanship
now
from
need
there.
Lightweight, medium weight,
Don't
heavyweight,
think we'll be around
and
for
reserves, and the yearling back.
Showmanship for sure, but I think we will be getting into be able to see the top 5 for sure. For the breeding side, we did get to see the top 5 for the market side, so got a car, race car started up over there. Must be tuning it for. There's Ashley. This will be very interesting to see which direction he goes here. Uh-huh. Aw. I mean, he talked a lot about the heavyweight, and of course the yearling he liked a lot too. Fitzer's got two out there as well. So this could be very interesting. I myself am by partial. I do like the middleweight. But I am not the judge today, so it doesn't matter what I think. He is going back to the middleweight to get another touch. So I would say it's middleweight, heavyweight battle right now between the two because he's going back and forth. And the middleweight is a little bit cleaner through the front. And he wants those two to walk again. This will determine a lot right here how they move. And he did comment on gliding, how that middleweight one of Fitzer's glided across the ring earlier. That was a big advantage that she might have right now. And he's getting ready to give his reasons now. And
Folks, I'm excited to be out here in this breeding drive, and I'm definitely impressed with the amount of quality that we have staring back at me here. Let's give these exhibitors a round of applause. I know all of us are anxious for a result here, and I'm not going to waste a lot of your time on the mic. I'm going to speak to the fact of if you look out around the arena, so exhibitors, you in here, and those of you standing around, I want to commend the amount of community that we have here. I just came from our county fair over in Marion County, and it's cool to see here I am 2.5 hours away from home, and the community stays the same. These are exhibitors, these are parents, grandparents, families, friends that are out here supporting these youth, and I think that's a testament to our sport, because that's what it is. It is a sport, and I'm thankful every single day that we get to participate in it, that we get to be involved in it, and that we get the chance to do well at it and learn and grow from others. This is an impressive set of breeding stock here, ones that just about any one of them I would happily take back home and put them to work with our own operation and really let them have that chance to thrive and push some of our genetics forward. A solid set overall. As we take a look at our first place here, our yearling that could have stood a little bit of competition. We like the package that she puts forward, a little bit heavier chested in comparison to some of these does that are out here, but a solid package overall. Our heavyweight here, as we've talked about, it ties in really pretty well all together. Nice lower leg, a good set of bone underneath her. Is maybe a little bit on the heavier chested side, but good across her top and explosive. The middleweight here is one that is definitely a lot of power, which is fantastic. There is plenty to be able to work with there. As we get her out and put her in comparison to others here, we start to notice that she doesn't maybe always tie in maybe some of the most clean, but you can't ignore the definition that she puts forward and the visual that she gives you. And our lightweight here, definitely one that has a lot of quality to her, one that we would just like to see her a little bit further down the road and offer a little bit more groceries and a little bit more power. But overall, solid set. I'll get you a top 5. Thank you so much.
I think he's going to go with the heavyweight from his reasons. Oh, he does go with the middleweight. Good for Fitzer. Nicely done. Champion goat, breeding goat to Fitzer Family Farms. And reserve, of course, will go to Meyer Family Farms. Now he's going to have to go 3rd, 4th, and 5th. This is where it might get a little bit difficult. Not that it wasn't difficult before, but he's got to separate somehow. Where he wants to go Thede with 3rd, 4th with Meyer, and I think he's going to go 5th with 5th overall going to the Pig Whisperer. Yep. And 5th overall goes to Allison Lenz, the Pig Whisperer. So showing goats too. I didn't realize she showed goats too. But that'll be your top 5 females. And I'm thinking with just the bucks left.
Okay, grand champion breeding doe goes to Madeline.
Fitzer.
Or not Madeline. Fitzer. Melanie Fitzer. Reserve goes to Caden Meyer. 3rd, Madeline Thede. 4th was Caden Meyer. 5th, Alyssa Lenz. Entering the show ring next
That'll
will be
do
our
it
butt
for now.
class
We're
with
gonna
3
tear down
entries.
and get our butts over to the Grove on behalf of Chris. Thank you for watching, and I hope you appreciated it. We will be back over in a little bit for the Queen contest. And then after that, I think he wants to take some pictures at the track and go from there.
That's the day. But, folks, thank you very much. We will see you shortly.